Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. There it is. There it is. We're recording and I'm excited. Do you know why I'm excited? Because I literally have the Beyoncé of marketing on the podcast with me today.
Shirt on.
Like, do I need to even say, yeah, you got the shirt and everything. Do I need to say more? I don't need to, but I will. A strategic marketing leader, skilled in all things of all kinds of shapes and sizes, social, music, marketing, event production, digital media, brand management, PR, you name it. I could go on forever. Formerly marketing at Sony Music, which she left, was like, peace, and went and founder and CEO of Brown to Perfection Agency. Junae Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was such a great intro. Thank you so
much. From the moment I saw you letting everyone know, I don't want to say even just claiming, but just letting everyone know what they were going to find out, which is that you are the Beyoncé of marketing. I was like, I need to talk to her on the podcast like yesterday. So we got our people on the phones,
right?
We scheduled it up,
people.
We got you the green Skittles in your dressing room, did everything we needed to do, and you're here now. So I'm excited.
Me too. Thank you for having me again. Really excited to be here.
Well, I have something for you. I want to pass you this. This is heavy for me, but you're strong. You're Beyoncé after all.
Right.
Okay, here we go. Thor's hammer. Go ahead. Grab it. You got it? Okay.
Thank you.
Take that hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Just set the record straight once and for all.
One bogus strategy or bogus myth, I guess, about marketing, I would say, is that we don't have to make our marketing a full experience. I think that a lot of marketers are okay with either just the traditional marketing channels or even just, the basic digital content channels. But you really need to, in this day and age, make it a fully immersive experience for the consumer.
Fully immersive experience. Are we just being boring with our marketing? Are we just
I think so. Honestly, I think it is very boring. I think that especially, now in, mid-pandemic, everyone's online, which is great. But people have a lot more time on their hands. Even if they are working from home, they're just a lot more tapped in. And I don't think that the basic methods are what's gonna really, lock people in. Like, you don't want people to just, you don't want to just get their attention. You want to hold their attention. You want to create longevity for the brand. You want loyal consumers. You want them to feel like they know you, they know the brand, they know the brand story. And then you really want to, find a way to get them to engage so that they feel like they're a part of the brand as well. And I think that's definitely a way to lock them in for life and get them talking. Word of mouth is still, like the greatest form of marketing that there is. So if you can be either a key element or part of the conversation or, a conversation starter, then you're good, right? Because then people are going and they're telling their friends and their cousins and they're doing the promotion for you. And so I don't think enough marketers and brands in general spend enough time creating a full experience for the audience.
Yeah. It's like they're all using the same playbook and just saying like, it's here's like my advertisement disguised as content.
Yeah. And it's like, if I can see through it, I'm a marketer, but if it's not connecting the way you want it to, it's more than likely that the consumer is too. It's not back in the day where all we had were print advertising, and commercials, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the basics of how people found out about things. Like now, no, everyone has a smartphone. Anybody can, open their phone and see millions and thousands of things a day. I mean, even if I right now said something about chocolate chip cookies, I guarantee you after this interview, if I open Instagram, I'm going to see an ad for chocolate chip cookies. Like there's.
Want to try that? Chocolate chip cookies, right? Right. I wonder if the folks listening would get one too.
Oh, maybe.
So if you're listening to this, just say chocolate chip cookies out loud and then
and see what series
see what happens.
But it's like we're constantly bombarded with things. And so I feel like in a sea of content, a sea of advertising, a sea of marketing, you have to find a way to stand out. Like, stop being boring, stop being basic. We have all these resources at our fingertips. Like, and we also have more access to our audiences and our consumers than we've had ever before. Like, there's so many ways. And the plus side, again, you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on print advertising or on TV commercials or radio advertisements if you don't want to. You can literally, really find other impactful ways and interesting ways to tap into the audience, run some ads. It's really half the cost and you can do twice as much. So it's really like not much of an excuse to, not be creative.
Half the cost, twice as much. I think the earlier statement. I mean, you. By the way, that was like our mic drop moment already. Like we have like an hour to find one, and we already found it.
Right.
It was
Nice.
like the sea of content, the sea of marketing. Stop being so basic. You're right. If you're in the ocean, I'm not gonna see the goldfish just hanging out. Be a freaking whale. Be a little shark.
Yeah, give us a show. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm very like, I always tell people, I'm like, do a front flip or something, right?
yeah, like
Like,
a
I want to
rainbow
see something,
dolphin doing a front
you
flip.
know? And
Yeah,
it's like we have these budgets and these, all these, a lot of teams. I'm a startup agency, so we're small.
yeah,
Like, but there's entities that are huge. They have hundreds of employees that are getting paid very well, and these brands are getting charged a wazoo amounts of money. Like, make it worth their while. Like, make some noise. And everybody wants to be the brand that's being talked about, the brand that's, obviously translating into sales, the most important thing, right? ROI. But it's like, that's a big part of that these days. And, you shouldn't have to wait for an accidental viral moment. Like, you should be creating moments consistently. And then when one goes viral, that's great. But then also the consumer has more to hold on to. It's not just like, oh, this brand went viral. Okay. It's like, no, we went viral, but look at all this stuff that we already have set up for you. It's like a huge, like, I don't know, it's like a jungle gym or something. Like, it's
yeah,
there, it's all there.
yeah.
And so I just think we need to be more intentional about creating those experiences for sure.
The idea of like you're having your marketing being like a jungle gym where you've got like
I
you
like multiple things going on. Like, I always say,
yeah.
and maybe it's because I'm also an event producer, but I always envision things like, strategies like a carnival, right?
Mm,
And I'm just like, okay, we need a bouncy house, we need a mechanical bowl, we need some snow cones over there. We need like something for everyone, but within the realm of the target audience. Because that's another thing too, right? Like, consumers are very nuanced. I think, I encourage clients, when we're doing our strategies, I'm like, you want to have a buyer persona, but sometimes I make multiple and they're all the same. It's almost like a group of best friends, right? And it's like, okay, there may be four of them and they're inherently different, but they're also very much the same. Right.
okay.
But what Amy would buy, might not be what like Barbara would buy. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like Keisha you might need to reel her in another way, but essentially
Yeah.
they all want the same thing. And so I think like, that's what I try to do. I try to just create this entire, playing field.
And everybody's got the crazy friend, right?
Yeah, right.
What's
There's
her
always
name?
one.
What's her name?
Crazy friend is we'll do Tia. Tia's
Okay,
great.
now they're all mad at you for saying that.
Right. Anybody named Tia listening? I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry.
But we all got them. But yeah, you're right. Like not just treating them as the same buyer. It's a group of friends that they're all gonna buy.
Mhm.
One's probably gonna recommend to another, and there's the logical friend. There's all different shapes and categories and kinds, but not treating them all the same. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And that also just gets boring. And I think it also limits the brand because
Yeah.
I think that sometimes, that's another thing. And especially if you work with startup brands or emerging small businesses a lot, they think that they know who their target audience is, right?
Right.
And sometimes I think as the brand, you think, well, these are the people that we want to buy the product, so these are our target. But that might not necessarily be the straight up and down answer.
Yeah.
It might be that you're not correct, or or what you're doing doesn't cater to that audience. So a lot of it is figuring that out first of all. And I feel like if you can figure out who the target is, then makes everything else a lot easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely something we got to be super intentional about.
It's got to be intentional, right? I mean, I used to mess this up all the time where I would assume the buyer was basically just like me, which works if you're selling to marketers and you're a marketer, but
Right.
even then it may not, because they may be completely different. And even selling IT things, I remember being like, oh yeah, I would like this or I wouldn't like this. And but it's like, yeah, but you're not your buyer. So you don't want to put your own like biases and thoughts of like, oh, they wouldn't like this marketing or they would like this carnival. Like, no, they actually might. And ask them, right? Don't just think that they're not gonna or they're gonna like it.
Yeah, like my newest and favorite analogy right now is that when you're working on a project, right? Or let's say whether you're the owner of the brand or sometimes you're the marketing team, right? I think of it like a camera. When you're using a camera and you're filming something, you can only see as wide as the lens allows you, right? So you're kind of just, especially if it's like a close-up shot, that's all you can see. Maybe you can pan left or right, but you really still can only see within the lens. Now, let's say you have a drone, right? Now you can see the entire perimeter, like you can see the entire room.
Yeah.
And so I try to get the drone shot, or I provide the drone shot to companies, brands, products, right? So seeing the things that they're not seeing because they're so up close. And I try to encourage, any of my marketer friends to also do that too. Like sometimes you have to take a step back and get out of the like, okay, this is what we should do, right? Because this is what works. You got to take a step back and you got to look at the whole picture, because if not, there's things, the simple things that you absolutely miss. Like there's so many things, and I'm like, okay, we could do this, and it would be so easy, but it would be impactful. People are like, wow, I didn't think of that. I was just thinking of like billboards and this and that, and sometimes it's the little things, right, that
Yeah.
add up to the big pieces. So
So do you see that happening with the sort of the segmentation of the audience as well as not only the tactics, but like they think that their target audience is like this one person because they're so zeroed in with the camera.
for
Like they got the
sure.
person's like freckle or something. They're like looking at the little
Yes.
eyeball and you're like, you can't see anybody around them. Like, what
Yeah.
if there's like a whole nother buyer group right next door that you can't even see because you're so focused on them?
And there usually is like, or I'll see like they'll take the easy route, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, moms would like this brand, obviously, right? So
Yep.
yeah, moms would. So like, okay, some maybe let's take this is super random example, but like a baby wipes company or something, right?
Yep.
Um, Obviously it's like 1 + 1 = 2, right? Moms, babies, that's our target.
Seems like it
However,
should.
right, right, should be right. However, I'll be honest. I'm a person who buys baby wipes frequently just to have in my house, to have in my
Yep.
bathroom, like all my friends do, right?
Totally.
Nobody markets it to us,
Yeah.
but it exists. And so it's like not saying that they should lean in necessarily and attack, that other group, but it exists. Just to give an example of how I think brands like they don't always think outside of what's right in front of them, and they're like, well, this works. And so, and I think you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but
Yeah.
I do think that you don't want to be so loyal to routine or protocol or I don't know the word I'm looking for, but tradition
Yeah, it's
rather.
like the
that
status quo kind of thing, like
yeah,
what
that you
people are
missed
always
out on
doing. Yeah.
innovation. Yeah,
Yeah.
like so much. And I think in 2020 and with the internet, there's so much around us. And I think you shouldn't get too stuck on what works. I think also because that's how you get brands. I mean, there's legacy brands, right? But I think even legacy brands think outside the box. And that's why they stay a legacy brand, right? Like every couple of years, you see Coca-Cola do something innovative.
Right.
Every few, right now, McDonald's is partnering with artists, right? Travis Scott partnership, the
Oh wow.
J Balvin partnership, right? And these are
Yeah, yeah.
really big
Does he have
artists.
his own burger?
Yes, they have like they're giving them their own menus, and then the fans are coming in. Like, and to me, it's like, does McDonald's necessarily need to do that? I don't think so, right? But there's also the other side of where they have their consumer, they have people who are going to be in McDonald's. They're a convenient brand, right? If you're really hungry or
Yeah.
they're everywhere. But then also, we're also in the midst of this health conscious wave, right? And we have been for a few years. So a lot of people don't eat McDonald's anymore, right? Like they're
Right.
like, I'm good, I'm not eating that, I'm fine. But with the Travis Scott thing, I saw people that would never, there were people that were going and saying, like, I'm not even going to eat this. I'm going to try to find like someone to give it to, but I
Well,
just
that's
want to
cool.
support hip hop. Like, I just want the fandom. Like, here's my receipt that says I got the Travis Scott meal. Here's my Instagram post
Yeah.
with the Travis Scott meal. And I'm sure they made millions of dollars off of that, whether people ate it or not. And then it also just gives McDonald's that visibility in the middle of a pandemic. They didn't do a regular commercial. They didn't up their, print advertising. They didn't even get on Twitter and anything and do some. They literally took what made sense, which was authentically tapping into the consumer,
Yeah.
and boom, now they're in everyday conversations. They're in conversations in music and entertainment. They're in conversations with the everyday consumer. They're in conversations with marketing. They were on the news for the brand partnership. Like, to me, I thought it was flawless, and now they're continuing. We're seeing more artists pop up. I don't know how true it was, but Diplo popped up the other day and tweeted about his supposed breakfast sandwich now that's coming out. So now I'm paying attention to the campaign. I'm like, well, who's next? Like,
Who's
I think,
next? Yeah.
right? I think it's so cool. And it's just like, again, I don't think McDonald's had to do that, but I think it was smart for them to do that. And I feel like they, to me, if I can like imagine, it was probably more of a thing of like, okay, what can we do right now that's different from what we've done before? How
Yeah.
can we become a part of the conversation? And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Be in the conversation because they're not talking about you otherwise. Not just because you have
right.
a store there, they're gonna if you build it, they will come. Nope, not really.
Yeah, no, not in that, not in not, I think even with, if you build it, they will come means you have to build something that they can come and experience or come
Right.
and talk about, right?
Right.
Not just like I build it and I sit it here and hope that they walk down the street. Like, no, you have to like get out there and push. I think of it in the way of like back in the days, right? Like guerrilla style marketing, but not in the way that we've envisioned it. Not knocking on doors, not cold calling, but putting the product or the brand in front of people's faces via digital,
Yeah.
right? Like that is guerrilla marketing. Like you're going direct to consumer. You can't get any closer than that. Everyone with a smartphone between the ages of like 12 and like 60 have some form of social media. Like at the very least, they have Facebook.
That's
So
something. Yeah.
why, that's something, right? And so it's like, why would you not be trying to reach people? They're right there. We've never, it blows my mind because I'm like, we've never had this much access to people. We've
Yeah.
never had this much access. Like literally, you can tweet, I can tweet McDonald's right now and somebody's going to respond to me or say, hey, DM me with your question or whatever. That we've never had that. And I feel like we should be utilizing that. We should be doing giveaways. We should be, if you're creating some sort of, send people product samples in the mail. It really like, you could do literally anything, but I just think have some fun with it. And I'm kind of, I get a little frustrated when I see things that have a lot of potential, but it's coming off stale. So
Yeah, totally. And I'm thinking, let's tweet them right now. So I've got like, yo, McDonald's, Junae Brown and I are talking about you right now on the Hardcore Marketing Show.
yes,
We'll link to their article. Boom. Let's see what happens. It's our experiment. But
yeah,
I looked it up, and you know, I'm a J Balvin guy. I think his music is great. His J Balvin meal, like a Big Mac, medium fries with ketchup, and an Oreo McFlurry. Like, who could say no to that? And
right,
apparently, if you use the app, you get the McFlurry for free.
mhm,
So I'm trying to eat a little more salad, a little bit less
right,
everything else.
but
But you know what else? This kills me. At the bottom of it says the deal starts Monday and runs through November 1st. That means I don't have forever. It's like the McRib. I don't have forever.
exactly, it's limited,
I
and
got
you got to get in, and it gives people the opportunity to do something fun. Most of us are
yes.
locked in the house,
Variety,
so
right?
a
Just
trip
mix it
to
up.
McDonald's to get your favorite artist or artist you're a fan of's meal, or even to Uber Eats that's fun. And I keep also trying to explain to brands that like it doesn't sound groundbreaking when you say it, but you have to look at where we are,
Yeah.
right? So where we are, that is amazing. Where we are, you having a virtual conference or event and someone getting a package in the mail that goes with that event that adds
Mm,
to it, someone
yeah.
getting, I don't know, movies that are coming out, right? I'm like, okay, now that they switched to allowing some movies that would have been in theater, people be able to purchase them and watch them at home. Why aren't we sending them a kit with posters and I don't know, a box of candy and
Right.
some little popcorn holders? I don't
That's a
know
miss.
anything.
That's such a great idea.
And it's the stuff costs like in bulk, that stuff costs like 2 cents a thing. Like just make it happen. And I feel like people are willing to pay for experiences. You just have to present it.
Totally.
Right. And so
Like,
I think
yeah.
that could work for any brand. But we gotta make it an experience for them. Like that is, I've been saying this since I was probably 19 years old, but experience is key. That is what, and I've just been, obviously I feel like marketing is all psychology. So I spend a lot of time researching and studying and just even observing in different social spaces and how
Yeah.
people react and what's making people tick and go. And it's like you have to think about what we've lost in the pandemic, but then also what we've gained and how we can give people that middle ground. And people miss community. They miss
Yeah.
a lot of aspects of social. And I'm just like, social media marketing. Don't forget the social part.
Don't forget the social.
Yeah.
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 So so they this is cool. Like you really are trying to you're defining some of the things that are happening here, right? So we have the COVID thing going on. We're missing some things. There's some more opportunities. So I spent like 2 months just being sad of COVID, and then now I had to like adapt, you know. So we
Yeah.
sort of adapted. So cool. We can't just keep sending emails saying in these challenging times, like let's make some experiences, you know. Like
Yeah. It's
what would
been
be good?
such
How do we I don't
a-
know, see, capitalize on it without we don't want to take advantage of like COVID, but like how do you address some of these needs people have now that they're stuck at home?
I think really that's when it gets back to the question of knowing the audience,
Yeah,
knowing the consumer, and kind of tapping into what they need. I think most people, you know, you got to think, right? Everybody's going through different things. Some people are mourning, everyone's mourning, right?
totally,
All of us,
totally.
right? We could be mourning a loved
Except for the
one.
introverts. The introverts I hear are celebrating because they're like, I didn't
Right.
want
They're
to
like,
talk to
I
anyone
just,
anyways.
right. I'm home anyway.
Yeah.
So, but most of us are mourning in one way or another, whether we realize it or not, right? We're
Right.
either mourning the loss of loved ones, we're mourning maybe a
Yes.
job, or we're just mourning, some things that we couldn't do this year, or we're just mourning what life was like before COVID, what we were like before COVID as people, right? We've never
Yeah.
seen this before. This has been the most crazy thing of all of our lifetimes to happen. And I think one common thread is that we're all in that space. And so I think people right now, it's either about being a resource or providing some sense of joy. And I think that's it, right? And, most good products or brands or experiences or whatever it is fulfill a need. The need could be educational, it could be just basic product need, it could be an experience type of need, entertainment, right? But I think figuring out what how you can apply that need, right? Like if you're, for example, a candy brand that we work with, it's like,
What's a
okay,
good candy brand?
a good one,
Let's make people hungry.
sour power straws.
Wait, what are these?
Sour power straws? You've never
Sour Patch
had them?
Kids? Oh my god.
Oh man, shout out to them. First of all, they have such a great like team over there. And we've been, kind of building a relationship with them, and they were actually gonna like sponsor some stuff with us during South by Southwest, but that got canceled. But I'm still, maintaining the relationship with them. But they're just a legendary brand. They've been around for so long,
Wow.
and they have, all the array of candies, and they're under the Dorval Candy Company brand. But specifically sour power straws is literally like the sour straws with the
They
sugar
look
on
good. What
them.
flavor do you
Are
want?
really good. Mango is the best.
Ooh,
I will swear by it. That is the best
mango.
flavor. I actually, funny story. So I live in Atlanta now, but I'm from New York City. And
Okay.
so randomly one day I went to like my corner store that's near my house. And I just wanted some candy. And so I was looking at the candy in the bodega. You can see all the little candy selection.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, mango sour straws. Because I hadn't eaten sour straws since I was like a kid. And so I was like, oh, but mango flavor. I was like, I've never seen that. So I was like, oh, just let me try it. After that day, I
Oh
was
no.
buying them every day. Like that was the highlight of my life. I
They
was like,
gotcha.
I'm
Just
in home.
once, right? That's all I needed.
Woo, that's all I needed. And it got to the point where I was posting it on Instagram and I was like, these are so good. And I like looked up the brand um and tagged them in like an Instagram story. And I think after I tagged them, I don't know if they had like DM me back or something like that, which is a big pointer for anybody who's running social. Like interact with your audience when they tag you in something, when they mention you, like even if you search your name in like Twitter, like please like interact with the customer. It goes a long way. And people don't stop talking about the fact that their favorite brand hit them back. Like we see it all the time on Twitter. When someone responds to something, it just becomes this conversation thing. So, anyways, long story short, they hit me back. And then I just reached out and was just like, hey, I have an agency and I would love to see what we can do together. And the rest is history. Right. And
Seriously.
people are always like, how do you know these brands? How do you? And I'm like, I just reach out. That's it. I swear there's so many. I get most of my clients are referrals, thankfully, through networking.
Yeah, yeah.
Once people know like my work, they refer me.
Sure.
But anybody who wasn't a referral, I just reached out. I figured out who was who, and I'm just like, hey, would love to figure something out with you guys. Let's do it.
How cool is that to have like a relationship with your favorite candy brand?
Right?
That's
I'm
the
like,
best, right? That's
I'm
totally
like,
the
you
best.
can't beat that. And another thing, I just think too in general, I always tell people like, invest in what you like, right?
Yeah.
Even if people I know a lot of people are starting to do stocks this year. And I'm like, well, okay, if you're going to invest in some stocks, do stuff that you use a lot. If you're using Lyft, if you're using Uber, if you're using Apple, whatever it is, like,
Yep.
it makes sense in life, I think, to either give back to or get things from places where you're already pouring into. So good stuff. But
Man.
we all got here because we were talking about tapping in with
Candy.
your
Sorry,
consumer,
I was
right?
like curious. I'm
Yeah,
looking
no
at yours.
worries.
Like some hungry and like,
They're amazing.
yeah, they look great.
Every time I bring them up to somebody, they're either like, what is that? Right. And they're not like, wow, that's cool. Or they remember and they're like, oh my God, I used to eat those every day after school. And I'm like, yeah, they're awesome.
I found this pack of 10 flavors, two of each flavors on Amazon, and I'm just like, what? I could have all of the flavors here
Yeah.
tomorrow, a
Yeah.
Friday. I could have them here
They're
Friday.
really good. I'm actually gonna. We might be doing some care packages soon, so I'll make sure you get one. If
Cool. Well, if they need us, if they want to sponsor a podcast,
that's not a bad idea. Listen,
I'll take aim in terms of sour candy straws.
and they're such a great like they love the consumer. Like they're very
Oh, that's
they love
cool.
people, they love, especially if they're also very family oriented. So like you have kids and stuff. So yeah, I'll see what we can hook up. But great brand. But
Sweet.
perfect example of how like, you know, maybe that's not something that they really have done, right? Like
Hmm.
maybe they haven't tapped into, not just influencers, but like general people. Like maybe we're sending care packages to nurses or our first responders, right? Just something to say like we see you and we care and thank you, right? Like
Yeah.
that goes a long way. I keep every consultation I have and every client I have. I'm like the holidays are coming, right? And listen, like people are going to be either really down and out, right? Because this has been an insane year and I don't even
Totally.
think we've been allowed to properly process. And some people might be looking to the left and right and they don't have the table might not be full this year, right? But
Right.
whether it's the stuff on it or the people sitting around it, right? So we have that side. And the other side might be people trying to really just feel as normal as possible and just want to keep it positive, celebratory, and grateful. Tap into those spaces. Like that is a prime opportunity to like connect with your customer, right? Like, sparking joy. Like I think that's what everyone should be focused on. And I think The right direction is figuring out what you can do for them, right? And
Right.
not just super zeroed in on like sales. Like
Right.
buy from us, buy from me, buy from me. I'm like sometimes I will scroll social media and I'm just like, wow, I feel like 500 people. It's like like a flea market, and it's just like everywhere you go, they're like, hey, this is $5. Hey, buy this, buy this, buy
Right.
that. I'm like, whoa, like first of all, there's too many of y'all. Second of all, I'm just like, nobody's telling me why. And
Right.
I actually prefer to buy when it's just something interesting. And then it's like, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna buy that, or I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's just, I think that's a lot of times the disconnect. And I think good marketing takes tact, not just tools, right? Or
Hmm.
tact, not just tactics. So you wanna be, strategic in that way as well. Like this is all about people. We can't do anything without people, right? If there was no people, we'd have no customers, we'd have no audience, and there would be no need for the brand. So you can't forget the people in all of
Yeah.
this. That's just, that's how I kind of attack things.
You're a walking holiday full of sound bites, like wisdom, tact, not just tactics. Um, it's all about, and then it's all about people. Man, I'm thinking that normally we have like one clip to promote the show, but I'm thinking there's like 4 or 5 now. We got to get people
Cool.
to see
Hey,
this.
send them to me. I'll totally post them. It's funny because I tweet a lot, right? I love Twitter.
Yeah.
And some people are like, when they meet me, they're like, oh, so like this is like you 24/7. I'm like, yeah. They're like,
Right.
you don't plan out. I'm like, no, like I don't schedule tweets. I don't think like, oh, what do I want to talk about today? It's all off the top of my head. It's just so much stuff in there. Once I get going, it's just like,
Well,
yeah.
clearly it's something that like it resonates. I think there's a measure of authenticity to it, right? And I know we were chatting about that earlier, just the idea of like you're being you, you're not being someone else. It's not like Beyonce of marketing 8 hours a day and the other, however many hours,
Right,
60,
I'm
what is it?
somebody else.
You're being somebody else, you know?
Yeah, no, this is like a 24/8 thing for
Yeah.
me, and I think authenticity is something that I live by on a personal level, but especially professionally, right? Like the first thing I mentioned about the agency is like we believe in authenticity marketing, right? So we're not gonna. There's this quote that I derived from something that TD Jakes said in a message, and it's like we're not going to take this table and try to make it into a chair. We're going to make it the best damn table that you've ever seen, right? And everybody's going to know why this is the best table. Whether they can afford it or not, they're going to be trying to save up to get this table, or they're going to be
Yeah.
telling somebody else, like, oh, you should get a table. Like that is what I like to do. I don't like to come in and try to like conjure up some sort of like weird, crazy thing. It just, I needed to connect. I need to be real. I need people to feel it, right? But like people are loyal to brands that feel true to them. Like that
Hmm.
is just the truth. If you study all of the brands that people like there's a real connection there. Like Nike, this is not a fake thing. Like this is a tried and true and built out brand, and
Yeah.
it's like they know no matter who you are, right? Going back to like the different type of customer, no matter who you are, there's a pair of Nikes for you, and they are authentic to you. You know how you're gonna feel when you're in them. You know what that represents, right?
Yep.
Like it, and just from Just Do It and beyond, they celebrate athletes, they celebrate people who are just stylish, they celebrate families, communities. And I think that's what everyone should be trying to do. Like, even if you don't have a wide range customer base like a Nike, like whoever your customer is, tap in, like
Yeah.
focus on them. There's things that they need from you, there's things that they want to see, things that they may not even know that they needed. But you got to figure out what those are and how to translate it to them in a real way, not in like, and this is the thing too, like I think people are getting more comfortable with not doing the marketing lingo thing all day long, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to just speak. I'm really big on like a good copywriter, right? but not
Yeah.
one who knows like, oh, I know advertising and marketing language. Like, no, I need somebody who knows how to professionally articulate a common conversation because that's what I want. Branding is storytelling, right? If you're hearing a story, you want to hear it. Most people, I think, want to hear it from someone who can speak their language, right? Like right now, we're sitting here, we're having a conversation. I'm not like standing on top of a chair with a megaphone and making a speech to you about
Right.
all these
That'd be
things.
kind of
Like,
funny, but I hear you.
right. But it's like, right. And that's a kind of, I think, what happens with consumers. They're like, oh, okay, interesting. All right. Moving on. That was weird. Okay, right. Moving on. Versus being like, oh, okay, you're speaking to me. I can
Yeah.
hear you. Now the wheels are turning in my head. And then by the end of that storytelling or conversation, you have a customer. Right. And
Yeah.
so like I think authenticity in that way is really big, and not trying to not trying to force like circles into square holes, like just you know
Yeah. There's this quote about God, I'm gonna forget it. It's people if they like you, say if they like you, they'll listen to you.
hmm
Um, but if they trust you, they'll buy from you, you know?
yes,
So it's almost like
yeah, yeah,
Zig Zig.
so good.
But yeah, so it's like maybe they like the brand or they like what they've seen so far, but then you got to win their trust. And there's nothing that kills trust more than being fake,
Yeah,
trying to be something. I love that quote you mentioned. Was that you said TD Jake? Like he was saying that I came into
yeah,
the store.
not gonna change, right, not
Yeah.
gonna turn the
I
table.
want a sofa. I want a couch. Don't. Oh well, this is a chair, but it's kind of like a sofa.
Right. And it's like, no, I want
No,
a sofa.
no.
Or if you don't have a sofa, just tell me you don't have a sofa. Like,
Yeah.
we don't do sofas.
Right.
But
Right.
if you want a good chair, we got this chair for you. And
Right.
to be honest, when you're like this, like us, right? We're a marketing agency. We don't do traditional PR. We get millions of PR inquiries. And we
Really.
tell people, we don't do that. Like, that's not our role. We can refer you to multiple amazing publicists. We do XYZ that kind of falls into publicity, but we don't do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But we offer, these are our services. So if this is something you're interested in, great. If not, again, I'd be happy to refer you to someone who can reach your needs. Every time I've done that, I've got a marketing client.
Yeah.
Every time. Every time. You don't have to try and fit every mold. You don't have to try and, again, reach every consumer. Everybody's not your customer, not your audience. You just need to tap into who is, or have your stuff together, right? Like, they're
Hmm.
looking for a sofa, but I mean, most people who have sofas, they do want a little chair in the corner, right? So,
Right. Totally. You need
hey,
one.
right? Cool. And then maybe I'll tell them where they can find a sofa. Maybe they feel like they don't need a sofa by the time I'm through, but
Yeah.
it's authentic. And then if we're not for each other, we're not for each other. But the next thing that they'll do is, when their cousin is looking for a chair, they're like, oh, you know what? I was at this furniture store over on so and so street, and they had some really nice chairs. You
Yeah.
should go there.
They're like dying to pay you back at that point.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, how am I ever going to pay back a furniture store? It's impossible. I'm going to owe you forever for my entire life. I'm
Right.
dying for an
It was a
opportunity.
great experience.
Chair? Oh my God, you need a chair? I know exactly the place.
I know the place.
Name is
Yeah,
Casey. Go call it. Like he hooked me up. Go get your chair.
crazy. And you know what? I'm like that. I am
Yeah.
so random. I'm like, oh, I I took my mom out for dinner for her 50th birthday the other night,
Nice.
and I had such an amazing experience at the restaurant. I had the guy's card, the waiter's card after, like, they
Wow.
took care of us. It was amazing. We get in an Uber to go back to her hotel, and the Uber driver was just making conversation. We say it's her birthday. He's like, oh, how's your night? And so then he's asking about the experience. I tell him, and I'm like, when you get there, you go see Evan. He's like, Evan? Okay, cool. I'm going there next Saturday. I'm gonna take my wife. Like, it's simple, right?
Wow.
Like, done. One and done. And when they get there, he's probably gonna ask for Evan. He probably might not even remember my name. He's gonna be like, I was in Uber. And this girl and her mom told me to come here and see Evan. that's it. Like, and I think when you again experience, right? They
Yeah.
create an experience for us. People will talk about it. Like things when you do or provide a great experience or you ace the storytelling, I think things promote themselves. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that we've liked in the past 5 years that didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a domino effect.
Yeah. It's something I love. That's like that's life. That's community. I love those kind of things. Just giving people the pointers, the tips. Like, well, by the way, what restaurant was that? Where was that?
Oh,
Should
that was actually Capitol Grill in Dunwoody, Perimeter, Georgia. It's like maybe like 15 minutes outside of like downtown Atlanta.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was great. Shout outs to Evan. He was amazing. The restaurant was great. They really looked out for us. And it was like a Sunday too. So it was like for them to be pulling out all the stops for us was really, really kind of them.
They could easily have been like, all right, it's just two people in the
Right,
party.
right,
Not gonna get much tip. Blah blah blah. But no,
right.
it made it a
Bye.
special
Yeah.
birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really, really nice. I'll definitely be back. So it was cool. And the food was amazing. God
Capital Girl is legit.
bless. Yeah,
It's
oh my
legit.
goodness, good. Yeah, it was really nice experience.
That's a sometimes food. That's why I tell my kids like M&Ms. That's a sometimes food. I think it came from
Yeah.
Sesame Street or something. But like Capital Girl is a sometimes food because
Yeah, it adds up quick.
it adds up. It
I was like,
does, but
happy
it's good.
birthday.
Yeah. Happy next decade, Mom. I'll see you when you're
Yes.
60.
I was like, yeah, I'll talk to you on Christmas. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, no, she loved it. It was a really great time and she deserves it. So I was happy to do that for her.
You tell her next year she gets J Balvin, right?
Imagine. I mean, I don't know. She might like it. I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
So you can we're gonna alternate. You get Capital Girl this year. Next year you're gonna get, you
J
know,
Balvin, and then
J
maybe next
Balvin.
year maybe we'll switch it back up.
Right? You never know. Or Capital Girl hears this and they're like, maybe I should yes, you should. Yes, you should, Capital Girl.
Yes, you should. I'm gonna
Hit
tag
her
them
up.
when I post the episode. Tag them.
Well, I got a question. Where do you see the future going with this? You're really in touch with this. You're seeing the opportunities right now. Is there stuff coming around the bend that we should pay attention to? Any changes you're seeing in the market? Good, bad opportunities maybe to keep an eye open for?
Um, I think definitely user generated content uh,
Hmm.
for sure. I think prime example is the explosion of TikTok, right? I think that people, one, they have more time to now, but they also really enjoy creating their own content, even if it's not a full on TikTok, right? Even if it's you getting people to take pictures of themselves with the product or just anything like that. I think that that's really big. And again, it allows them to participate. It allows them to be a part of a community. It allows them so it's not just a product anymore, it's a community, right? I think even if you look at a brand like Apple, right? iPhone users, like we are a community. You have a certain like it's almost a personality trait, right? It's like, oh,
Right.
I'm an iPhone girl, right? I'm a
You
Mac.
have an iPhone? I do too.
Yeah, yeah, I'm an iPhone girl. Like,
Boom.
here we go. Hey,
There it
little
is. Show it
Apple
off.
Apple plug.
I'm glad long into our hour-long relationship, I didn't find out you're like an Android user because now
No, because
I might have
that's a
thought less of you,
different
to be honest.
conversation. It's a different conversation, right? Like it's
Right.
different type of people. But
I just
I
killed half my audience just now. They're like, I'm
think,
out.
like, yeah, forget it.
No, we love you too.
We love you, Green Bubbles. We love you. We love you. But yeah, like user generated content, shareable content, is big too. I
Mhm.
think, again, going back to experiences and kind of people can't go get the product or the experience, so bring the experience to them. I think that's really big.
Yeah.
I think digital is going to continue to surge, but I think community is more important now than ever. Like even right now I'm on the app Clubhouse. And so Clubhouse is basically like audio chat rooms. They're still in beta, and so um there's only like I think maybe now like 12 or 13,000 people on the whole app. They're eventually gonna open it up, but they're still testing things out.
What is it?
And
It's
it's
just audio chat, like random
yeah,
chat.
yeah, yeah. Clubhouse is really cool. I actually think you'll like it. I
It's
haven't
just
I haven't
audio though, huh?
Yeah, it's just audio, and you can't even like direct message on there, but you can connect your Twitter. That's the only social site you can connect to it, and you can like go and DM the person on Twitter. That's how people have kind of been connecting. But it's everybody from like CEOs of Fortune 500, COOs, CMOs, startup brands, tech founders, VCs, people in the entertainment industry, people in social activism. Like it's just this huge pool, and people are either able to have like educated, informative conversations that they may have never been able to have in person, or they're having just normal conversations, right? Like we're just talking about like what's our favorite cereals. And like
Wow.
I've only been on it for like 2 weeks, but like the nature of the app is like we all end up on their app till like 5 in the morning. And it's like, what is going on? Like we're on, and there's like these different rooms. You can create clubs, and you can like host a conversation, and then everybody gets an alert. It's almost like a 24-hour podcasting platform where anybody can join the conversation. So you have like moderators, and then you have people that like come up, and they can raise their hand, and you can bring them up onto the stage to speak. I actually think I haven't I think I have an invite. So that's the other
I
thing.
was gonna say I just downloaded. I can't get in because I don't have an
Yeah.
invite.
Yeah. So I can send you one of my invites so that you get on the platform. So that's how they're also doing the beta, which is cool because word of mouth, because now everybody's trying to get a Clubhouse invite, right?
Snap.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty smart. They have some kinks to work out just as far as like, it's great for what it's great for, but it can go left field really quick depending on who's in the room and what the conversation is about. There's been some touchy subjects.
Get all those preteen boys out of there.
Yeah. There's none actually. Like I think the youngest person, there's a couple of Gen Z folks, but it's mostly like, and that's cool too, right? It
Yeah.
ranks. Like
Oh
I've
yeah,
had
totally.
my old supervisors are on there. Like it's really cool. I'll send you an invite. But
Yeah.
said
Heck
it to
yeah.
say everybody loves it because it's community, right?
Yeah.
We have not been able to, especially like, coming from the music industry primarily, we have not been able to gather how we usually gather. Like in the music industry, there's like 2 or 3 events minimum a week where it's like open bar, you come, you talk, you see people, you kiki, hey, you're social. We haven't been able to do that in wow, 7 months now, going on
Yeah.
8. And so it's just so refreshing for people to be able to like be in a room together.
Yes.
And it sounds so simple, but it's like huge. And like I think again, that's where we're headed because we can't really, we don't know when we're gonna have like in person, or and I just think also the consumer has changed. It's only been 7 months, but it's different, right? People are different, they are enticed by different things make them tick. um
Mhm.
and so I think it's about, right, like community. And I think user generated content goes into community, shareable content goes into community, creative, immersive, and interactive experiences goes into community. And I mean, makes perfect sense to me because again, marketing is people.
Yeah.
So
People.
I think that's definitely where we're headed. And I think also people just need to pay more attention to Gen Z. I had this conversation with a few different people recently where like they are no fluff, no nonsense. So if you want them to buy from you, or, indulge, and, you want to convert them, you got to come with something authentic. Because if
Now,
not,
which this is Gen Z, you said?
yeah, Gen Z.
What is that? Which
So Gen Z is like anybody who's born after, well, they're right after millennials. So I think they are, I hope I'm not wrong with this, but I think they're like 1998 and
huh, Gen
I
Z
think, yeah, I think like from 1998 to like
succeeding
2007.
millennials, preceding generation alpha. Oh, it goes back to A.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
mid to late 1990s as a starting birth year,
Mhm.
early 2010s as an ending year, somewhere
Yes.
around there.
Yep. That's them. And so these are our kids that are in college, heading to college,
Yeah.
maybe some of them just getting out of school. And they are no nonsense. I love them. They're quirky, but but they are very serious about, they want to know. Like they want to know the details. They want to know, they're not just going to buy in. You have to explain to them why. You have to explain to them the benefits. They're the kids that want to know, like, what are the ingredients, all of the ingredients, and
Interesting.
are you using illegal labor to produce your products? And okay, well, what are you doing to help affect change in these communities, in that community? Because
Yeah.
if not, I don't need to use you, right? There's
Right.
somebody else I can go to. Or are you boring, right? Are you meeting me where I am? Because I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram.
Interesting.
And if you're not doing anything interesting on there, I may not even know you
Yeah,
exist.
you're dead to me. I don't even
Yeah,
know you
like you're you're,
exist.
you're
Yeah.
dead to me. And so I think people need to pay attention to them. They like information. I think they appreciate information and they thrive off of it. And so I think transparency is also where we're heading. Um, and I just think, we all, I think most brands, they have a handle on like Gen X and, halfway 50-50 with the millennials. I think it's time to focus on Gen Z. Like I
Yeah.
actually think like if you haven't been, like, you're kind of late and you need to catch up. So like study them, figure out how you can, embrace their natural tendencies and, prepare to thrive. Because the next thing you know, we're gonna be back to alpha and they're gonna be coming with their own, and you gotta think too. So
God
Gen
help
Z
us with
is the
alpha.
right. Because I don't know. So Gen Z, I mean, yeah, Gen Z, now I'm getting the letters mixed up. Gen Z, I believe, is the first generation to always have the internet.
Yeah, it looks like it. 19 late 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an entirely different thing.
Right.
Millennials are the only ones to have both. We remember life without the internet, right?
Totally.
And we remember life with the internet and this whole thing. So our minds work differently. And Gen Z is like, what? They've been using computers since they could like walk and talk.
Yeah.
So, like if you can see even babies now, like I think the alpha generation, if that's what's next, I think they're going to be even more complicated because like kids these days cannot form full sentences, but they can use iPads and they
Yeah.
can go to their favorite show on YouTube. Like my friend's daughter is 2 and she like can say words, but it's not like she can sit here and have a conversation with me. But if you give her iPad, she goes and she's typing in, and I don't know how she's doing this,
This
but
is
she's
crazy.
going and she's finding her favorite show. She's finding Baby Shark. She's finding all this stuff. She sits there. She sets up her snacks and her juice, and she is watching what she wants to watch. And when she's done, she's going to the next show. It blows my mind, but it also shows you that like this is where we're at, like technology, and like I don't know how babies are figuring this out. I actually now want to go do some research on it because I'm like,
Seriously.
how is
Yeah.
and it's like very normal.
My kids are like, I mean, this like an iPad, right? They share it, but they don't have the password for it, so they can't just be on it
Mhm.
24/7. Maybe that's a millennial thing, but like I'm like, nope, I don't want you to burn your brains out.
Yeah, screen time.
So they don't know the password. But then the other day, they're able to watch videos, and I was like, what the heck? They cajoled Siri in order to get them to watch videos. They're like, Siri, hey Siri, can you
Wow.
play some videos of this and this and this? And Siri's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, Siri, don't. So I turned her off. I'm like, you're out.
Wow, brilliant.
Then my
They are
kids are like,
brilliant.
oh, what happened? You turned off. I'm like, yeah, I turned off your
It turns it
shortcut.
off.
Your,
Right. Wow, but that's brilliant though for them to even,
yeah.
and this is what I'm saying, that that's even a thing. Like, hey Siri, then I saw a viral post and it was like someone talking to their younger cousin, and the little girl was like 5 or 6 and she couldn't like text whole sentences. She could only send a little bit. So she was saying she sent her older cousin a voice note that said, hey, I can't read and write all of that. So could you send me a voice note, please? I was like,
Wow.
what is going on? Where are we? I was like, I think it's great. But then it also makes me stop and be like, all
Oh,
right, where,
yeah.
whoa, like, whoa. Yeah.
Right. My kids heard a like they were playing sound effects or something, and they heard that modem sound where it's like dee dee dee,
Oh,
and it
wow.
connects, and they're like, and I was like, oh, go back to that, and they're like, I'm like, what is that? Do you know what that is? So like, I don't know, it's some computer noise. I'm like, no, that's the noise they got you on
If you were
AOL.
on the phone, right? Or if somebody picked up
Or
the
you're on your
remember
phone.
that?
You're like, get off the phone. I need to use the phone.
My mom used to be like, get off the computer. I need to make a call. I used to be so
Yeah.
devastated. No line wire for me today.
Yeah.
Get off the computer. No aim. Yeah.
LimeWire, AIM.
We've
I don't
come a
know if
long
you were
way.
around for like AOL used to cost per hour.
Yes, with the like, and was that when we had the CD
The
still? And it was
CDs,
like
the
you
20
had a
hours
certain
free.
amount. And then after that, I used to be so mad. And then I think my mom was working at some office and she would like be able to like bring home some for free. And I would be ecstatic, like, oh, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
on the internet. So
Yeah.
fun.
But you'd run up the bill, like you know how it used to be like the kids
Yeah.
running up the long distance phone bill. No, it was
Mhm.
like I'm sure my parents and many parents would get a bill for like $60. They're like, we signed up for $20 a month. How did we get to $60?
Right.
Like,
And you're like,
yeah,
yeah, I
so
just I've been playing Tetris.
and now kids are like, what? Internet, it just
It just
works.
is, right? It's just there
You pay
magically.
Comcast their blood money and they just make sure you're always on, you know?
Yeah. It's incredible how far we've come.
Well, hey, who are you? I love to like you legit are like you're it. So how do you know all these things? Where did you grow up? How did you always know you're gonna be in marketing, running an agency, doing your thing? Like take us back in time, like little Junae days, like what was
Okay.
it like? Where are you at?
So I grew up in Harlem, New York,
Okay.
from East Harlem, and I grew up in like I guess the best way to describe it would be kind of like a townhouse, and
Okay.
where my family owned the townhouse, and we were on each floor. So my uncle's apartments were on like the first floor. My grandparents' apartments were on the second floor. Me, my mom, my sister, and eventually my stepdad on the top floor. My grandfather was a bishop and pastor, also like community leader, an entrepreneur. And so I grew up seeing him and my grandmother create whatever they wanted to see happen, right?
Wow.
They had a bus company at one point. They had this going on. So funny. I was filling out an application for something recently, for like an opportunity, and they asked me what my first job was. And I'm like, technically, I was 12, summertime, working in my grandfather's office as like a office admin assistant.
Right.
Again, because I was already into computers and he wasn't. He was like, well, I don't know. So, they still had like word processors. So
Oh
he got a
gosh.
computer and he was right. And so those were tedious. I might throw in there. But he had a computer, and so I was doing like his admin work and answering phones and like doing all that stuff, setting up meetings, all that. So just to give a little background, I also had like five cousins who in total there was seven of us plus my sister who were always in the house. If we weren't in my house, then we were at their brownstone, like on the west side of Harlem. I
Yeah.
was always the one planning the activities, right? What are we going to do for the day? Throwing like little pool parties in our backyards and then convincing the adults to like give me a budget of money so that I could go and get us pizza and snacks and candy or whatever we wanted to do. So I always joke and say like I've been throwing events my whole life. But
Totally.
that also starts to get your mind, I think, wired for marketing. So because you got to advertise and make it sound good.
Got to. Yeah.
So fast forwarding to, so I went to performing arts high school. In high school, I went to an after school program, Harlem Children's Zone, that paid us to go to after school. I liked money already, so I was like, oh, count me in. Ended up going to join a music class. And so I've been singing and songwriting my whole life too, performing arts, all that good stuff, dance.
Wow.
And so I went to the music class, and that was the first time I figured out that the teachers were people who were in the industry already. And they taught me that there were just multiple jobs within music and not just being like the performer. I was in a girl group at that time. We were
No
performing
kidding.
for
What was it
the,
called?
the mayors. It was something. It was like JS squared or something.
Some cool name you came up with your
Right,
friends.
something I came up with, mind you. So that was great. And then I ended up choosing Five Towns College in Long Island for school because I could do a vocal major and then a music business concentration.
Oh wow.
First semester, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like paying these people to teach me how to sing. I know how to do that. And I just fell in love with the business side. And so, because all my courses were so specific, like we were doing like content production and promotion was a class, music publishing
Wow.
and copyright was a class, music marketing was a class. Like, and then I also had traditional marketing, accounting, psychology. So I'm like, all right, I'll do those as the choir as electives. I want to like learn more of this. And that really just sparked so much in me. And then I was just
Sure.
pretty business focused after that. I fast forward to, so then I become president of student government activities in college. And so that meant, so we put on 66 events per semester. And
Wow.
that, yeah, that's a lot. And especially a lot because my school didn't have more than like 1,500 students in it. So we were doing a lot, right? We're
Yeah.
very small, like, private college. So it was like we even though we're putting on collaborations with bigger universities in the area, like we were doing 66 events per semester. And with each of those events, whoever wanted to throw the event, if it wasn't something that I curated already, if it was like a student that wanted to do something, it was like they had to come to me. We had to like devise the plan. I'd give them, a budget. I'd have to get the budget approved. And then I had to create the advertising for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then we're doing email blasts. I'm creating physical advertisements and flyers. We're doing word of mouth, right? We have little ambassadors running around. Like it was a whole thing. And I didn't realize at the time that like that was amounting to what I'm doing now, but it definitely
Wow.
set the tone. And so then I go and intern at Sony Music and at RCA Records. There, I think they realized, but it also just confirmed that like marketing is my thing. As soon as I walked in the door, they were like, "Oh, you're the idea girl here." They started letting me here. They like started letting me work on like actual projects and things for artists, which is really cool. Um, then like I broke my ankle 3 weeks before my college graduation.
Oh
Typ-
God.
Typical Janae
Something
exercise.
cool, or it was like some dumb
It was
thing?
dumb. Like, and I didn't even really do anything. I was actually trying to like help a friend pick things up off the ground, and like my like knee buckled, and it was just the whole thing. I was pissed. And so so then I was also sad because I was like, oh my god, I was trying to intern to get a job. I'm never gonna get a job. My life is over. And
Right.
I called my supervisor at the label, and he's like, oh man, all right, well, as soon as you can get on some, as soon as you can walk, you can just come back. And I was like, okay. As soon as I got my foot in a cam boot, like that big
A big
black
plastic thing.
plastic thing,
Yeah.
the day after, I was bright and early Monday morning at Sony Music, limping up and
Limping
down the
around. Yeah.
hallways, like to the copier, to the printer, back to office. They were like, you can sit down. Like somebody else could. I was like, nope, I'm doing it. So like I was like in hustle mode. I always, whenever I feel a
Wow.
little stagnant, I try to tap into that girl. But yes, I was there doing that. Then I was supervisor for the new set of interns, and like I was presenting like marketing projects to like, these executives. And so they didn't have any placements, but Columbia Records did. So I go
Wow.
to Columbia Records, and now I'm working under the CFO who handles finance and operations. So, but a lot of that is the record deals, right? So nobody could get signed or renew their contract or anything like that without it coming through my hands first, without me kind
Wow.
of rushing it over to go. Right. So it's like insane for me to come out of college straight to that. And Columbia Records has legendary artists like Beyonce, J. Cole,
Shit.
Pharrell, Adele, right? So we're
Yeah.
like Calvin Harris, like we're like, these are like real contracts.
Gotta be so
Uh,
surreal handling
Bar-
that stuff.
yeah, Barbara Streisand. It's like, and
Yes.
granted, I learned all these things in school, so I also had a leg up, right? So it
Got it.
wasn't just like, okay, I've never seen a contract before. It was like, oh wow, okay, now I'm seeing all these things in real time. I was in charge of like creating the market share reports for all of the presidents of the labels, and for Doug Morris, who at the time was the head of the entire Sony Music. So that was again me crunching the numbers. That's when streaming was first really introduced. So I had to figure out, who, and I really found out like who's making money, who's not, maybe why
Mm-hmm.
they aren't. And we also were the department our department like handled marketing, but in a finance way. And so we were a big part of strategies being approved and like where the money was coming from, how it was allocated. And I think
Wow.
seeing that was also helpful for me as well. Because a lot of times in marketing, that's not really necessarily the part that they teach you. The budget part, which is really important, and the ROI part. But I was
Yeah.
able to see that happen in real time. So that was cool. And then RCA calls me back and they're like, hey, my old supervisor is moving to another department. He's like, hey, you want my job? I was like, yes. Because I wanted more, hands-on traditional marketing
Yeah.
experience, especially in urban music. I really wanted that, and we had some amazing artists over there. I go there. It was great. I learned a lot, but I also learned that being in an office every day traditionally is not for me. So I was going to go to work at another music company, and they had some weird HR debacle that mixed up the application. Somebody promised a job to somebody on the West
Oh,
Coast. Other
geez.
two supervisors were mad, so they're trying to figure it out. And I was just like, nope, because it was between that or I'm super spiritual, so I was like praying about it. I was like, okay, if I'm meant
Totally.
to, do this job, then God give me the job. If I'm not, I'm gonna try to do this on my own. Because I used to process invoices for independent creative agencies and marketers. And I started crunching the numbers and I was like, well, first of all, I think they're making more money than me and they don't have to be here every day. And they're choosing their
Right.
projects like I was like, yeah. So God, let me know what you think. I was like, I think I could do it, right? And I was like, I have the inside knowledge. I also have just the cultural knowledge. And so I'm just like, I think I could do it. And so they were like, oh, we're gonna try to fix it. I was like, nope, that's
That's a
my
great
rainbow.
sign, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah. I
you're
was like,
praying for something, oh, we have all this. Don't worry, it's fine. It's just a little drama. It's like waving a flag at you, like,
yeah,
here's your
like
sign.
no,
Don't
do
go
it,
this
do
way.
it, do it,
Yeah.
right? And so that was my rainbow in the sky. And
Yeah.
that was 2016. And like here we are.
Wow.
So that is how I got here, the short version. And I
Yeah.
always say, especially in the beginning, that I thought I was building the brand and the company, but the company was really building me. I think there's so much that goes into entrepreneurship. Um, it's a never ending learning process, but it's one that I wouldn't trade for the world. I really enjoy what I do. And I also enjoy the fact that I've been able to transcend from just music marketing and
Mm.
transcend into other areas. Like I have tech clients, I have politicians as clients, we have TV and film clients, right? We have
Wow.
product brand clients, we have, you know, we still have music clients, artists, signed and unsigned. We have media personalities, we have actors. Like we could do LeBron James if we wanted to, right? And I think that opens the door. And I would say for me, it's not even necessarily about the type of client, because I know there are marketers that only focus on certain types of things. For me, it's really not about that. It's more so about the brand being forward thinking, innovative, and impactful.
Yeah.
If I can see that, then I can figure out how to put a spotlight on you and make it great. So
Yeah. Everyone is like you're dealing with rock stars still. And
yeah, right. It's
you're
just
gonna go
like
hire some boring IT marketing firm? No.
listen, IT is not boring. I know a lot of people in
No,
IT.
but I'm saying is like your competition, right? Like
Yeah,
if I'm some serious company and I'm like, ooh, I could hire this boring people that are gonna do the boring stuff that we talked about at the very beginning, where you're like
right.
it's no experience to it. It's the same thing that it's gonna be
Yeah.
drowned in the sea of content, the sea of marketing,
Or
or
with
you,
firecracker.
yeah,
Or I just firecrackers.
lighting firecrackers in the boardroom. Like, let's do it. Totally.
100%. That's one thing I'm actually excited about for whenever outside is safe again is in-person meetings. Oh boy, I have some energy for those boardrooms.
Yeah.
I get enough across on Zoom, but I am excited. There's nothing like, the real life thing. And I actually just had a conversation with someone the other day. Like they we were following each other on social media and then they heard my voice on Clubhouse, right? Me speaking on there, and they were like, wow, like I already was really liked what you say online, but then connecting with you and hearing your voice, like that was like an amplifier, right?
Yeah.
And so then that happens with people when like maybe we're on a podcast or we're having a phone call or whatever the case is. And then when they meet me in person, they're like, okay, wow, there's another. They're like, all right, where does this go? I'm like, I think it stops here. But but
Right.
I do miss that in-person energy. And I think that I don't really do sales, but marketing and sales are, like cousins or whatever. And I always say like I could sell like feathers to a bird. Like
Hmm.
I could sell like, that phrase, like I could sell water to a
Water to a
whale.
well. I was thinking the same
A-
thing.
Absolutely.
Love
Like
that.
I could do it. Like I could figure out and not lying, like really selling them something they don't have that they need and explaining why. And I think that's all this is, the whole thing, right? On that side of things with clients. It's like letting them know, can you see it, right? You seeing the picture and then explaining to them what you see and then how you can bring it to fruition. Like I think my purpose in life is honestly to show people who they are. And sometimes that means marketing, sometimes it means motivation. Like somebody I met at the grocery store, right? I think a lot of us
Totally.
don't see our potential. And from a client perspective, they can only see but so much. Like you again, it goes back to that close-up shot versus the drone view,
Yeah,
right? And it's just like, it's my job to help them see the drone shot.
totally. Totally. Man, well, I have a hypothetical for you before I let
Sure.
you go here. We're running out of time. I feel like we need to book like 3 or 4 more
Yeah, let's do it.
podcasts because there's so like budgeting. I mean, we can't talk about it now, but like there's so much knowledge in there. It's very powerful. I'm even sold on working with you.
Okay,
And I
let's
do
do
market like
it.
you're fantastic. So, here's the situation. I might have a time machine in
Okay.
my backyard covered with a tarp.
Okay.
Post COVID, you can use it. You go
Mhm.
back in time. Now it's covered with like squirrels right now, but we'll brush them off. And so you go back in time and you get to meet yourself. And you get to meet that self um, just graduating. You just graduated school, probably in a boot, right?
Right.
You get
Yes.
stuck to that version of you. What kind of advice would you give yourself, knowing all the things you've been through and seen and done?
Wow. So much. I would definitely let her know that like to trust yourself. Like you're not crazy. You're actually quite genius. And just because everyone else can't see it yet doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or shouldn't exist. I would just really tell her to, you know, don't spend too much time mulling over decisions because what's meant for you will never miss you. And you want to fail fast and forward if you're going to fail, right? So don't be so afraid to mess up. That is how you get great. That is what I would tell her. And if you were already great, that just sounds boring and a waste of time. And I think in order to get great, you have to make mistakes. You have to fail sometimes. You have to figure out what's really your thing.
Yeah.
How to work, how to do things. Like it's a learning process and experience, and enjoy it, right? Because nothing lasts forever. You know, time is a societal construct in a sense, but it's also a real thing. So just enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and one thing my therapist told me, one of the first things she said was like, you don't want to be so tunnel vision that you don't ever look left and right and see all the amazing things on the way. Like that doesn't mean stop walking, but be present. And so yeah, that's I think what I would tell myself for sure. And just to not worry about silly things like people liking you or not liking you, or what people think about you. I know they say that like as you exit your 20s, or I guess once you get to your 30s, you stop caring about that. And like I'm like, nearing exiting my 20s, and I'm just like more and more every day. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like,
Yeah.
why do we care so much about what other people who don't know what they're doing think about us? I'm like, they don't know what they're doing either. And once you start
Yeah.
to realize that like everybody's kind of winging it, even if you're strategically winging it, you're winging it. And I think even the pandemic has shown that we don't have as much control as we think we do.
Right.
So just like wake up every day, be your best self, help people. I think that's what it's about. It's about the your impact and your legacy, not necessarily about all the like fancy flashy stuff and the accolades and the lists and all of that. I think it's just about the imprint that you leave here. And so, I've always had the agency is like the agency, but it just goes our our actual like full strategy and plan for the company, the blueprint goes so much further than just marketing.
Yeah.
And so I really, I want to be like the greatest, marketer and philanthropist of all time.
Hell
And I think I could do that. And so I would tell her to just early on, like, girl, you got this. Just like you have no idea how much is in store for you. I mean, every day I'm still wowed, like, whoa, at opportunities or things I'm able to blessed to be a part of. And so yeah,
yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean that's a powerful series of things. The thing that I caught on was just because others don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
see your
vision.
genius. They just
Like
don't
that's
see it. That's
vision.
fine. That could be
Yeah.
on them.
they catch on eventually, and then everybody's like, "Oh, this is amazing,"
And I
right?
knew it. I
I
knew
knew
it
it. I
from the
always knew you would
first
be
time I met her. I
something,
knew,
right?
yeah,
I just knew, right? So it's
sure.
just like, just do your thing. You only live once. We're here one time, and we
Right.
can't take anything physical with us, right? But
That's it.
you can leave a legacy behind you. You can leave the door open for the next innovator. And I think I learned, I think in the past 2 years at least, just specifically that like it's way bigger than me. It's
Yeah.
more like people who look like me being able to know that things are possible, and not even if they want to be a marketer, just like choosing and creating your life, right? Like that is a
Yeah.
big thing, and I think society's slowly catching on. But it's still a relatively new thing to see someone like unapologetically like create their life and standing in that, come hell, come high water, even if it's not sunshine every day, and like
Yeah.
really curating your happiness and choosing to be happy in the journey.
Yeah. They're being intentional. They're like planting a stake. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
like this is what I want
It's
to
who
do.
I am. Yeah.
And that's it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You'll do something else. But like you got to do it. So
Yeah. Well, where can people connect with you? How do they reach out and get some more of you
yeah,
in their
so
lives?
they can follow me at Junae Brown, just my first and last name, on all socials, like literally, like yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit,
Everywhere.
everywhere. You can also follow the agency at B the number two P agency. We give a lot. Like my personal social media pages are like marketing and stuff like that, and just topics that I'm interested in, but they're also just like, my personal feeling, how I'm feeling for the day. Maybe I'm documenting my day. But if you're looking specifically for like marketing, business development, wellness, resources, cultural news, tech news, tips, apps, whatever, those are on the agency pages. So I would encourage people to follow them there. We have Brown to Perfection YouTube, where we have a content series called Brownie Bites, where I break down marketing concepts, excuse me,
Cool.
tools and tactics in usually no more than 2 minutes. And that's really fun. People really like them, and I've learned a lot. And it's really for emerging um, or DIY brands, businesses, artists, right? Because I
Sure.
realized that like not everybody is in a place, especially not in the beginning, where you can hire an agency, you can hire a consultant, but there's so many things you can do to build yourself up to that place. There's so many things you can do yourself. I always tell people like one thing I learned working the label is I'm like, how much things like they don't spend money on. So I was like, I was creating all types of things, right? I was
Yeah.
creating stuff in Microsoft PowerPoint, like that was going out to like Pepsi. So it's like, you can do it. You just have to be diligent and adamant about, getting that stuff done. So we have that series, and yeah, that's where you can find me. Our email addresses, if anybody wants to reach out for like inquiries, the email tabs are on our Instagram. They're in my bios. Um, yeah, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but
So many
oh yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah,
We're going to link to all those things in the show notes. People can just click right through
perfect.
to them. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you
It
so much for
has.
hanging with me for just a little bit. This has been
Thank
fun. I've learned so
you.
much. And
Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah,
you can
this
look at
was
the
fun.
clock. The clock, it just literally time warped it by, like
I know,
gone,
right?
gone quick.
So
And for those listening, if you've learned something, and I freaking know you did because I have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back. Oh,
wow,
I just spoke myself, front and
no,
back. Um, then share this with someone. Be a thought leader to like one person, 87 people, 90, 94, 9,000 people, however many people you follow. Just share that with them. And that's how you be a thought leader. Do it LinkedIn, Twitter, just
yes,
whatever
all
you
of these things.
learned, and
Wonderful.
tag us both. We'll start a little conversation on there.
Yes, for
Love you.
sure. Thank you for having me,
Thank
Casey.
you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. This has been awesome. This has been the Hardcore Marketing Show, everybody. We'll catch you all next time.